The middle-aged empty nest crisis. How to break through the embarrassment of marriage during the empty nest period. Psychologists suggest when people reach middle age, they are lonely, confused, trapped, restless, and even have broken relationships. Afraid of growing old, afraid of divorce, afraid of unemployment, trying to seize the tail of youth, but can't find the exit of life. The empty nest period is a necessary process for a marriage to grow old together. When the children have all left the nest, the couple must first learn to rely closely on each other. Before the empty nest, the topics and life patterns between husband and wife often revolved around the children. Once the children leave home, if you do not learn and force yourself to cooperate with your partner to learn to live a close life as a couple, the topics of the couple will naturally become more and more likely. As we come less and less, our relationship will become more and more like roommates. How to break through the embarrassment of an empty nest marriage and let the couple get along well. As their children leave the family and go out to study and work, their parents who stay at home have entered a new period, the middle-aged empty nest period. Emotional fluctuations, such as loss and anxiety, appear one after another during the holidays, and negative emotions will double. I often hear children who have left the nest complain, "My mother's targeting phone calls make me nervous." This year's Mid-Autumn Festival, Xiaofei did not plan to go home because she and her mother argued on the phone for a long time whether to stay at school for the festival. Later, she signed up for a Mid-Autumn Festival tour group for her parents. "I'm afraid that my mother will be too sad and let them spend the holiday traveling around the mountains and rivers to make up for the regret that I can't go home for the holiday," Xiaofei said. Xiaofei, a native of Shenyang, is a sophomore student at Liaoning Normal University. Studying in a different place for a year not only taught her how to grow up, but also made her feel the loneliness of her parents' middle-aged empty nest. In the year since Xiaofei left, her mother has been in a low mood. "My classmates in the dormitory all know that my mother's phone call will come at 8 o'clock every night. They call this the call of love." Xiaofei was a little helpless, once because of something. Xiaofei missed her mother's call. "My dad called me the next day and said that my mom thought something happened to me last night and had been waiting for my call." Xiaofei's voice was choked with sobs. "At that time, I felt very sad. On the one hand, I blamed myself for not repaying my parents' love well, and on the other hand, I felt that my mother was too emotionally dependent on me. In fact, I hope that if I am not around my parents, they can still live happily life," Xiaofei said. On the other hand, some empty nest parents said, "The family is empty and I regret letting my son study abroad." This year's Mid-Autumn Festival, I originally planned to fly to the United States to see my son, but my son had something to do, so I canceled it. "Anyway, it's just my husband and me, so it doesn't matter if we can't make it." Ms. Shang's words were full of bitterness. Ms. Shang's son Xiaoji went to study in the United States. Ms. Shang, who had been a full-time housewife for 3 years, found her life completely free after her son studied abroad. "After my son left, I felt that the excitement in the family was gone. His father worked during the day, and I was the only one guarding the big house. I felt empty. Now Ms. Zhang can only pass the time by watching TV. I rarely watched TV series before, but now I look for American and Korean dramas that are special to watch." Ms. Zhang, who watches TV alone at home, doesn't cook at all, and snacks have become a common thing. "My husband said that eating like this will make the body collapse, but when I think about eating the food I made after working for a long time, I lose the enthusiasm for cooking," Ms. Zhang said. Because of his lack of dedication to family life, Ms. Zhang's husband had many quarrels with Ms. Zhang. He said that I had become unreasonable. Not only was I unwilling to clean up the housework and take care of the housework, but my mood became very bad and I would lose my temper at him at every turn. Ms. Zhang admitted that her husband was telling the truth, but she felt that her son had grown up in the family. "Leaving is not a simple process from 3 people to 2 people. My son also took away the family's anger, and I began to regret letting my son study abroad. Sometimes I feel desperate when I think that my son will have to study in the United States for at least more than a year," Ms. Zhang said. Nowadays, the middle-aged empty nest family crisis is a common phenomenon. At present, the phenomenon of empty nests in middle age has become very common, especially among parents of freshmen and sophomores. Most of the parents of these only children were between 50 and 55 years old when they left home, and their careers were stable. Most of their previous lives focused on their children, and many of the mothers were stay-at-home mothers who all revolved around their children. After their children leave home, most parents will have certain psychological changes. The most obvious manifestation is in communication. On average, parents and children will talk on the phone once every 2 to 3 days, which lasts about 30 minutes. Every time my mother's phone number is the same. It tells me what I ate today, what classes I took, and whether I had a good rest yesterday. My classmates in the dormitory all know it by heart, but their parents also practice eye-to-eye phone calls, so we are all used to it, freshman Mingming said. According to her, one half of the girls in her class call or text their parents every day. Most of the college students interviewed believe that the one-child policy and social development are the main reasons for parents' empty nests in middle age. How to get rid of the middle-aged empty nest crisis as quickly and effectively as possible. The formation of middle-aged empty nest families is largely due to parents' active choices. As the pressure of survival continues to increase, parents hope that their children will have better development and will encourage their children to leave the nest. When a family of 3 suddenly becomes a world of 2, the psychological state of parents cannot be easily changed. Along with the changes, emotions such as anxiety and loss will rise. Among them, middle-aged mothers are more likely to have negative emotions when their children leave the nest, and even lead to conflicts in their marital life. Women at this age are mostly facing retirement or being idle at home, and their bodies are entering the menopausal stage. They are experiencing tremendous physical and psychological changes. In addition, the children who are the mediating link are not round, making them more likely to encounter marital crises. Psychologists advise parents not to call their children every day. This can easily rouse children's resistance, and at the same time, it can also easily trigger children's guilt. It is not good for children's physical and mental health, nor is it good for parents to get rid of anxiety and loss. Theoretically, the middle-aged empty nest period will last as long as 25 years. Middle-aged empty nest couples should build a new relationship as soon as possible to adapt to the living conditions of middle-aged empty nest families more quickly. At the same time, middle-aged parents should expand their social circle, cultivate more interests and hobbies, and maintain a positive and healthy mentality. In addition, some parents who rely on their children should re-examine their multiple identities. They are not only parents of their children, but also children, friends, and colleagues of others. Only by focusing more on other identities can they get out of the middle-age emptiness nest crisis.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.